guys, this is Lexus Exodus, leading the Black woman Exodus to liberation. How are you guys doing? I miss you all. Oh my, how I've missed you. If you are listening to this, I hope you thoroughly enjoyed your New Year's Eve and had a great and safe New Year's weekend. I did myself, hubby and I had some adult time and really had a good time and really enjoyed ourselves. So I hope you did as well. I am so excited to talk to you guys again. So after my last video on Crystal Swirlz and why she's needed, I got lots of comments, lots of trolling, lots of inbox messages of angry men, angry dusty Zeta males, angry derelict Daquans who were upset with me. And I knew that video was very controversial just because Crystal Swirlz is so outspoken and is so polarizing. But I didn't expect that type of response, but it happened. So I'm not easily intimidated. So here we go. So time for round two. In a lot of those comments I got, a lot of the feedback I got from those derelict Daquans was that, Crystal does not know what she's talking about. She's crazy. You're crazy and you're cuckoo for even listening to this woman and even following her. So I'm just going to read some of these comments quickly that I got from these Dusty Zetas. So, first one, you have a bachelor's and master's and follow swirls? Okay, maybe the issue is can you even get a quality black man, yet alone a quality white man? But the gag is, I'm happily married with this big old rock on my finger. But moving on. You know what? In 2021, we are not engaging in conversation with these derelict Daquans unless we're getting paid for it. So I ignored that. Next comment. Biggest reason of all because I need a good laugh. That and it reminds me why I need to stay away from hardcore drugs. Okay. Whatever you say, sir. Kept it moving. You can't find good black men and white men. Why would you be sitting up listening to a drugged out failed swirler that can't get a basic brag? You take her serious? Okay. Y'all see this mess? So I ignored all these comments. Like I said, I refuse to engage unless I'm getting paid. But I wanted to make this video responding just because this caused such an uproar and because it makes for good content. So all these men were triggered, very triggered, very angry. I think a hit dog will holler because if it doesn't apply to you, why wouldn't you just keep it moving? That's why I don't go to Tommy Sotomayor's or however you say his name. I don't go to his page arguing with people. I don't go to Kevin Samuel's page arguing with people. I don't go to Minister Jobs' page arguing with people. That stuff they're talking about doesn't apply to me, so I could care less. Obviously, this video resonated with a lot of people and hurt a lot of people's feelings. So they tried to clap back at me. And what I will say is that I think it's very easy for people to discredit Crystal because they don't like the messenger, so they ignore the message, even though there's truth in it. And so I wanted to make this video because I don't like to argue with people based on opinion or emotion or rhetoric. I also don't like to use one-off examples when debating. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, my cousin back in 1995 who lived in Timbuktu dated a male once and agrees with what Crystal says. No. Y'all know my credentials. So I have a bachelor's in journalism. I also have a master's. So I am very logical, very practical, like to use data, like to arm myself with facts. So I decided to come back and make this video, this part 2, to debunk all these comments you all are saying, all you detractors are saying, by illustrating every major talking point Crystal says can be backed by hard data and statistics. Okay? So let's go. And I'm also going to intertwine different clips in here of Crystal's major talking points, recurrent themes that she normally says. And then we're going to dive in and back all that up and illustrate that all of this can be proven with data and with simple research. So here goes.
We want to talk about hair weave instead of putting up stores and businesses. These niggas got time on their hands. Well, guess what? To F with you niggas. And, I want to expose all of the effed up things about niggas. Their hygiene, their broke pockets, their bumming off of women, lack of resources, pumping and dumping all over the world.
So let's pause it there. And I know that this is harsh. This is hard to hear for some people. It's difficult to hear the truth, especially when it's a critique. Crystal does not mince words. You guys know that. But like I said, let's not lose the message because we don't like the messenger. Because this is not a simple opinion. This information that she's saying is backed by data. So let's look at some stats. So according to the Bureau Labor of Statistics, African American males aged 16 to 64 had a lower participation rate in the workforce. So only 69% participated in the workforce compared to all males, which participated at a rate of 79%. So what does that mean? That means that Black men are only actively in the workforce at a rate of 69%. So actively have jobs, actively seeking employment, which is significantly lower in comparison to all males across the country who had a significantly higher rate of 79%. See what I mean? Like the data illustrates this talking point. These men aren't even trying to work. And for me, it's interesting, and I never understood it because as a child, my father was not that way. He was not that way. My father would mop floors to take care of his family. Whatever he had to do, even if it was flipping burgers, he would do what he needed to do. If it meant working 2 to 3 jobs, he would do whatever needed to be done in order to take care of his family. But for whatever reason, that's not a common thing. That's not popular within the community. Next stat. Black males, who make up about 6% of the general population, were 39.8% of homeless people. Do y'all hear me? So although African American males make up a very small percentage, a fraction of the overall general population, they make up almost half of the homeless population. So, and this is where we get into conversations why it's so common in our community to have men who fall in that category who are homeless. It's so common that we've made the phrase homosexuals. We've coined that phrase because it is not abnormal for Black men to be homeless and to, even though they're grown men, even though they're able-bodied men, even though they can get their ass up and work just like everybody else, it is not uncommon for them to strategically target women who will allow them to live off of them and leech off of them and bum off of them to essentially take care of them because they're homeless and because they don't want to work and get a job. See that shit, and this is what I mean. Like, this is why I think it's so silly to have these conversations and to have these arguments and to engage in the delusion here, because these men are delusional. They're delusional. And we can talk about your uncle who came across a fortune. Now he's a millionaire and owns 20 business. And we can talk about, the one-off celebrities who made it out and these athletes who made it out and who are doing well for themselves. But let's not talk about one-offs. Let's talk about the collective. Let's talk about the overall population and the recurrent themes that we're seeing here. Okay, so I'm going to pause there and we're going to dive right back into another clip.
You niggas are living off of Black women, and you calculate when we get our taxes, because everybody knows you niggas don't work. And if you do work, you get hit with child support. So you niggas are broke. You broke.
Okay, so again, she talks about how generally it is very common for African American men not to work. That can be backed by data. So, according to the BLS, only 37% of African American males worked full-time all year in 2018. Not only that, the average African American male had an average of earnings of only $30,000, $30,928. So she'll frequently talk about $25,000, I think is what she says. That's just because she used a stat that's a little bit older. This most recent stat, according to the BLS, says you make a whopping 30 grand. 30 grand. So when she's saying you're broke and you don't work, that's not a lot. That's backed by data. Also, 73% have no college education. A large chunk of those men aren't even high school educated. So we're looking at a very high amount of college dropouts or high school dropouts. Contrastingly, Black women have made the greatest strides recently. 35% of employed Black women have jobs in management and business, science, and arts occupations, compared to only 30 or 24% of employed Black men. Are y'all listening to this? Are y'all listening to this? So this is why I don't think that it's fruitful or productive for us to engage in these silly conversations, these silly arguments with derelict Daquans, because the reality is the data shows that the collective amount of Black men are failing, period. On the other hand, Black women are the highest educated group of people, not just women, but people, men and women in America. We're starting business at an exponential rate. We're doing it. We're doing a thing. We're holding down the fort. We are leading households on our own because our men aren't stepping up to the plate. So I don't want to hear, I'm not going to engage. I know that we have the tendency to coddle the men in our community and to make excuses for them and to want to be supportive, but I am not going to enable delusion. Let's keep going.
You never talk about money, resources, getting older, a pension plan, working somewhere for 20 years like Brad does, or my son's father, retiring, collecting a pension. You never talk about that because that's not what you're doing. A felony is in your way. So, I want to deal with reality, Black males. You don't have what it takes to have a family, to continue your legacy.
Ouch. So did that one hurt? Are you hearing this, Black men? More data from the BLS that's government backed. So Black home ownership is at its lowest since the 1960s. It was even higher back then when discriminatory practices were legal. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? This don't make no damn sense. So how the hell can home ownership rates be aligned with what it was back in the 60s when there was Jim Crow, when there was Black code laws, when there was government sanctioned discrimination? We're still there. You know why? Because there's no resources. Our men don't like to build. There's no resources. There's no leadership. Like she said, you rather talk about silly shit like hair weaves and materialistic dumb shit. Black women having attitudes instead of being out there busy leading and building and creating a legacy for your families. You'd rather focus on petty shit. And the few of you who run into money, what do we see? You're spending it on jewelry. You're spending it on women, tricking off on women. We're arguing about Birkin bags. What the hell? I kept thinking, when I saw that conversation about Birkin bags that these rappers were buying these women, I kept thinking, $15,000? That's a down payment for a fucking house. But this is what you guys want to focus on. Not only that, I forgot to mention in my disgust, talking about some of the other stats, Black women, 65% of working Black women held white collar occupations compared to only 42% of Black men. Do you know what that means? Do you know what that means? That means that Black women, the bulk of Black women are in distinguished titles, are in polished, poised professions. They're working in corporate America, killing it. On top of that, 36% of employed Black men hold blue-collar occupations compared to 9% of Black women. So we have the respected, distinguished roles when you guys are still struggling, still slacking. This don't make no damn sense. And then, not only that, as of 2018, Black males accounted for 34% of the total male prison population. 34%. And y'all motherfuckers only make up 6% of the general population. This don't make no damn sense. So let's argue data. Let's talk about statistics. Don't come at me talking about, oh, you're crazy. Oh, you're silly. Oh, well, Black women, they should be doing things. They should be doing this. They should be focused. We are killing it. According to the data, the collective amount of Black women are becoming increasingly successful. We're focusing on educating ourselves. We're focusing on building and providing for our families. What men should be doing. And like I said, this isn't an opinion. It's a statistically supported fact. Men are supposed to be providers. They're supposed to be leaders. The truth is, the Black community is on its knees because there are no male leadership. There's no leadership. There's such a lack of men having integrity and having a hard work ethic and being protectors and providers and having resources. And it's a recurrent theme. It's not make-believe. And, it doesn't even surprise me. I was taken aback at first when that video went viral of that woman saying that, she wanted a six-figure person because she brought six figures to the table. No wonder everyone was up in arms when she wanted that, because y'all don't exist, quite frankly. The data shows most of y'all are making $30,000, and then you're lucky to find that. The overwhelming majority is unemployed or underemployed. So when Crystal is saying you don't have anything to offer, she's telling the truth. I remember one call-in show, she asked a Black male who called in, who said, why should Black women remain loyal? And you know what he said? He said, because of our penises. Because of our damn penises. And this is what I mean. Silly shit. Silly, trivial, dumb shit. Black men always want to talk about dumb, unimportant stuff. That doesn't matter. What is that going to do when it comes to feeding your family? How is that going to provide a roof over your children's head? How is that supposed to provide heat and utilities and light? What does that do to establish any type of comfortability for your family? Any type of security for your family? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Even white women, when you ask them why they're into Black men, they'll talk about D, like that's impressive. That's some impressive feat or an accomplishment. You never hear, oh, they're such good husbands and hard workers and take good care of their families. And it's because it's not there. Those aren't traits. Those aren't traits that you guys strive towards. You rather talk about stupid ass shit like peen. And I know this is harsh, and I know that that's a tough pill to swallow, but it's simply true. Let's keep going.
The best advice I can give you, sweetheart, leave niggas alone. They mean you no good. All they want to do is fuck up your life and make you pregnant so you can't swirl. Then you're going to be stuck with a baby. You can't go nowhere. You're going to need a babysitter, and ain't nobody babysitting once you spit that baby out. I'm here to tell you now. After the baby shower comes the hour of truth, which is I'm by myself with this baby, and I ain't got no help, and this nigga walked off. So please, if you do not want that to be you, leave niggas alone.
Okay, so Crystal often talks about how Black men tend to be pump and dumpers, is what she quotes verbatim, meaning that they don't take care of their families. Where's the lie? Seriously, where's the lie? So some data, again, to support exactly what she's saying. Just over half of Black children live with a single parent. In 2014, 35% of Black adults aged 25 and older were married. Just 35%. On the other hand, there was a 70% out of wedlock births. Do you hear that shit? So these men have the tendency to want to have sex with you, to want to make you a mother, but for whatever reason, do not want to commit and do not want to make you a wife. It's sad. It really is sad. And, when I think about this stuff, I often think about my upbringing and the culture and what I observed around me. And, once you're in the midst of things as a child, you don't know what's what. You don't know better. All you know is what you know, right? So you don't have you don't have a bar to hold anything up to. So you start to think that this stuff is normal. And growing up, I remember so many of my friends and so many of my classmates coming from broken homes and it being abnormal to have a father within the home, let alone married. Because if a friend of mine's parents were still together, they weren't married. They were just shacking up together, pretending to be wife and mom, playing house. And I'm not sure why that's so normal and why that's so normalized, but that's the culture for our men to just have sex and have children with women and then go on about his business.
Your bank accounts are broke or non-existent or very little. You got kids all over the place. And you worried you trying to take us down with this single mother running around. And you want to try to count a Black woman out if she has 2 or 3 kids? You want to try to knock us out the game? And try to act like we can swirl because we got kids? You niggas do not tell the truth about how many child support cases you got. How many kids you got running around that you do not claim. They see that you fill up the jails, you don't take care of your children, and you bash your women.
Do you hear that? So why is there this culture for Black men to abandon these women that they have children with and then turn around and make fun of these same women for being single mothers? What sense does that make? If the problem in your community is single motherhood, stop making single mothers, because a woman cannot create a child on her own. And she certainly shouldn't be raising one by herself. On top of that, more statistics. Black men married to white women are twice as more likely to get divorced. So this is something that I always thought was interesting to me. You have to look at, my mother used to always say, look at the common denominator. Okay, so if you are, if you have a history of toxic relationships and of instability and of just really harmful relationships, harmful romantic relationships that not end well, then you say, okay, let me change some things, and you decide to transition to a new community that end up with the same results. Who's the problem here? Because what tends to happen is when Black men divest, guess what? Becky becomes a baby mom too. The Asian woman, the Hispanic woman, they become single mothers too. So let's just practice some reflection here and some accountability. All you have to do is look around at this. So look at the men that we uphold and celebrate within our community. Future with his 10 children by 10 different women. Tristan Thompson ended up dating and getting Khloe Kardashian pregnant and then leaving and cheating with the next girl. Lil Wayne, I think he has like 5 kids now with 3, 4 different women. Diddy, Offset, all these children never been married. Never been married, just growing families willy-nilly. Like, just spreading your seed. Just fertilizing everything in sight. And I remember about 10 years ago, within the community, there was this thing that was trending called side babies. Like, what the fuck? This is the type of dysfunctional shit that we normalize. We coined the term side babies. And that was when Dwayne Wade, Ludacris, and a slew of other celebrity, high-profile black men ended up having all these babies as a result of affairs that they had on their women, on their wives, and on their girlfriends. And I'm so tired of this toxic culture normalizing dysfunction. And when I think about it, so I want to challenge you guys. Name 5 celebrity black men under the age of 50 who are happily married to the mother of their children and who are loyal and respect and love their black wives. And I'm going to say that with the caveat of under 50, because we all know black men love to get old and start to develop all these health ailments. And then finally they want to settle down when they halfway in the casket. When they're about to kick the bucket, then they want to settle down. So under 50, just like that. Do y'all remember recently seeing in the news that black male who proposed to his girlfriend after dating a black woman for 45 damn years? Like, really? Really? So, anywho, before I get on a rabbit hole, name me 5 celebrities in the comments. Celebrity black men who meet those guidelines. So, and who do we think of when we think of our top A-list profile couples? Beyonce and Jay-Z. Who y'all like to say is a power couple, whose goals. But Beyonce has been very vocal about how Jay-Z is a cheater and is a womanizer, and disrespected his wife regularly for Becky with the good hair. Remember that? She released a whole album on his bullshit. And even allegedly, it's rumored that he has a secret child, an older child, that no one knows about. Who else? Who else do we think of? Will and Jada? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Them and those entanglements, and for being notorious people who are unfaithful and who regularly disrespect the sanctions of marriage. Alicia Keys and Swiss Beats. Is that who you're thinking of? Yeah, the man who left his wife and children and had an affair with the next chick. Yeah, okay. See what I mean? Like, come on. Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade, like I talked about, he had a side baby on her. It's a hot mess. It's a hot mess. And these men don't commit. They don't believe in building a foundation. They don't believe in family. They don't believe in stability. They just want to poke and keep it moving. And it's interesting because, my husband is non-black and he proposed after a year. And that's the difference because, other cultures, the men, they know what they want. And like I said, I like to recollect a lot and reflect on how things were and how certain things were normalized as abnormal in other communities. As a child and as a teenager, I remember attending a bunch of baby showers back to back. And then only one wedding, my whole entire 32 years of life. Isn't that sad? And when I met my husband, I remember, he invited me to be his +1 to all these weddings. All of his friends were getting married, and his relatives, they were all getting married. And I think we had to have attended 5 in 1 year. And I remember just thinking, wow, this is how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to normalize getting married, normalize committing, normalize establishing a union and building a firm foundation before having children. Here I am, 32 years old, and I've been to countless baby showers, but no bridal showers, no weddings. And the people in my family, the men in my family continue to have baby after baby. but no one ever celebrated marriage. Commitment, no one ever celebrated lifetime unions. So there's a culture of Black men pumping and dumping and leaving you to deal with the mess. And that's the truth. Let's keep going.
And I'm going to tell you something. Imagine the world, the Black community, without Black males. What would you have? A bunch of women with children going to work. Daycare services would be set up. Of course, wherever you go, there's going to be crime. There's going to be a little bit of child abuse cases. Or whatever. Yeah. But compare not having Black men fuck our shit up. Compare it's just all women. We would feel so safe in our neighborhoods. We wouldn't have to worry about rape. The molestation rates, yes, you have women that molest, but the rates will go down so much. The rates overnight would drop by like 96%. An immediate 96%. You always gonna have those little freaky freaks that sneak through. But for the most part, our children will be safe.
Again, another harsh observation from Crystal, but really something that's rooted in truth. Let's get back to the data. So according to the U.S. Department of Justice, 1 in 5 Black women are survivors of rape. 1 in 4 Black girls will be sexually abused before the age of 18. 40 to 60% of Black women report being subjected to coercive sexual contact by age 18. Do y'all hear that? So when she's talking about Black women being in danger and being victimized and being subjugated to predatory behavior, she's not lying. She is not lying. Because the reality is Black women are being hindered, they're being hurt, they're being brutalized, and they're being abused by the men in their community on a regular basis. Another stat, more than 40% of Black women will experience domestic violence in their lifetime. And that's according to the Institute of Women's Policy Research's Status of Black Women in the U.S. Another report found that 53.8% of Black women have experienced psychological abuse, while 41.2% of Black women had experienced physical abuse. Y'all hear that? So almost half of Black women have experienced being abused by the males in their lives. And let's not pretend and act like this is happening from someone else, because we all know that most Black women are unwavering in their loyalty. So they're not even allowing themselves to be around anyone from other communities for this to happen to them. So this is happening to them at the hands of Black men. Another stat, which is even more disturbingly, Black women are 2.5 times more likely to be murdered by men than white women. And in the overwhelming majority of these cases, 92%, the person who killed them knew their victim. So 92%, nearly all of these killings were interracial, meaning that these crimes were committed, these murders were committed by Black men against Black women. Do y'all hear me? So when she says, we're under attack, that Black men have the tendency to be vicious and have the tendency to be brutal and predators and have the tendency to victimize us, that is all backed by data, sweetheart. This is all statistically backed. The numbers show that this is true. She always says over and over and over again, and I don't know if y'all think she just makes this stuff up, but the data shows once every 21 hours, a Black woman is a victim of a fatal attack by a Black male perpetrator. So again, we can't even go a full day without a Black woman being killed, being brutally murdered by a Black male within her own community. Let's keep going.
We are not safe around them. We're not safe. And wherever you go with them, it's going to be some shit. Now, I never said all Black men. Please, I always say there's about 6% of them. 6%, and I'm being generous. 6% of them are decent or really, really good. And the other 94%, they're either substandard, barely making it, or they're outright abusive. Facts. The same way all you niggas ain't gonna confess that you're rapists. Half his followers are probably murderers, got child support cases, felonies. You niggas are garbage.
More facts. Come on. What else do y'all have to say to argue with this woman? And she even illustrated, even though she is a die-hard Swiller, she even illustrated that there are some black men who don't fall within that category and who are good men. But let's be honest, like she said, the overwhelming majority are not good men. Our community is full of predators, full of rapists, full of abusers, and full of psychopaths and people with mental illness issues. And the stats show that. And I think that it's interesting because most of these men and most of these detractors don't argue about statistics. They just don't. But then they get defensive when we try to hold them accountable using those statistics. So, all we'll hear is a bunch of gaslighting. Oh, you need to choose better. I'm not like that. I don't know anyone like that. That's your fault. That's a user error. That's not my friends and family. We're not like that. And it's like, really? Really? Because if the data is showing these horrid acts, these horrendous things are happening to 1 in 4 black women, who the fuck is the culprit? Who's the culprit? And it's crazy because most black women or most black men will admit that they know women in their family and black women who they are friends with who have been raped or assaulted, who have been hurt, who have been victimized by domestic violence. But then all of a sudden they don't know anyone who commits these acts. So who the hell do you think it is? Do you think that there's just these phantoms sneaking in the middle of the night? Do you think, really, y'all? Come on, let's use common sense. If 1 in 4 women are victimized and sexually assaulted, then these victimizers are your friends, your black male brothers, your cousins, your uncles, and your fathers. These are the people that you know. And when women speak out against them, you guys ignore and dismiss this stuff. And you further enable it to still perpetuate and to still permeate and just, for its nastiness to still negatively impact the community. And y'all make me sick. Y'all rather tell young girls to dress differently instead of calling the police on your perverted ass uncle. And I remember when I was with my abusive ex, I was told still to this day that I was making things up and nothing happened to me. Y'all motherfuckers are weird. You're really weird. And would rather pretend that this toxicity doesn't exist instead of calling it out, addressing the issue, and making strides towards resolving it. And it makes me sick. Let's keep going.
What can black males get when they are not doing good financially, have felonies? They can get a fat Becky. That's all they can get. And that's why Minister Jap and Kevin Samuels do not bring up the issue of fat Becky. Always in somebody's face asking for money like they're a woman. Do you really think these lowlifes are pulling other races? When I go to Walmart, I see Tyrone looking embarrassed, looking to see who's looking at him because he's following a 400-pound Becky with an EBT card. This is what they're doing. They are latching on to whoever is needy or who they think ain't got it going on enough to get somebody better. That's why every time you see a naked, he with a 400-pound Becky. Every time when you go to Walmart. They never with a slim, leveled up, in shape, beautiful Becky. Never. Never. I've never seen it. It's always a skinny ass Tyrone with a big Becky.
So listen, guys, another thing that CS is also very vocal about is how Black men want to criticize Black women for being obese, being overweight, but then turn around and date Fat Becky. And obviously, there's no stats or data that you can pull where studies are researching, oh, how many Black men are dating overweight white women? So I can't statistically prove or show how many Black men are married to or in relationships with overweight white women. But I feel like being petty. So I'm just going to leave you guys with this because I think it's funny. Okay. So that's it for today. And listen, guys, I don't like doing this. I don't enjoy or find pleasure in berating people or humiliating people. But I think that we have to be vocal and we have to argue against this narrative because Black men are being so intellectually dishonest. And you guys are attacking these pages that are, proponents for divesting and leveling up and these Black women empowerment pages and are attacking Crystal Swirlz, trying to undermine her credibility when the truth is they are right. And like I said, I don't agree with everything she says. And I know that sometimes her communication can be harsh. But her major talking points are accurate. The fact is that there is a culture that exists in the Black male community where being a dusty is normalized. You're celebrated for bringing pennies to the table when other cultures are expected to have their men grow up to be doctors, lawyers, and high-earning businessmen, breadwinners. We've normalized rape culture and hurting Black women. It's okay. It's acceptable to sexually assault and to abuse Black women. It's also acceptable to be toxic and to run from woman to woman, impregnating everything in your path without any commitment or loyalty. And the data shows this. The data backs this, and it illustrates that these are facts. And instead of getting defensive, Black men, I encourage you to do better. That's all I got. Until next time. See you guys.